guys, this is your art teacher. I'm here with some my awesome students, and I'm making an instructional video on how to use our texture rubbing plate. So this one right here, I used some texture rubbing plates. The texture rubbing plates look like this. They're black and plastic. They will break if you bend them, so try to not bend them. Sometimes I will put, or some of the tape is still on the back of these, and I'll tell my students to put the tape toward the table. There is a direction when you're using these, okay, so I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. Some of the other supplies that I have are some what I call crayon cakes. So these are not to be eaten, of course, but what we do is we take our old crayons and then we melt these down, and we can use these for texture rubbings. Aren't those fun? Maybe I can make another video on how to make crayon cakes. Anyway, I just call them cakes because I think of like the watercolor or tempera cakes. And anyway. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to be videoing this upside down, so I'm going to go ahead and write my name. Always have my students write their name, their grade, and their team on your paper. If you're doing this at home, just write your name at the bottom. Of course, you can put home team if you're at home. Oh, some other things that I use for textures. I use leftover sticker papers. This one has stars on it. This one has circles on it. You can also use these for textures, okay? Okay, you can either do this with a pattern or without a pattern. I have started with some of my students creating looping lines first, okay? Another way that we can get started with our texture rubbing plates is we can fold our paper to divide up our space, and this just helps us to have some sort of a plan rather than just randomly putting marks on our paper, which I do think sometimes looks good. Like this one right here, I really do like this one. This is different shoe, like the bottom of different shoes. I used mine and then some of my students' shoes. I put the piece of paper on the bottom of the shoe, and then I used my crayon cake and I rubbed, and then this is the design that I got. And I love how I filled up my entire space, and then I can watercolor this later and have a really nice abstract artwork. Okay, so for today what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide up my paper by folding. So I'm going to fold, I'm going to make a crease, okay, and then there's a line right there that you can probably see. I'm not going to draw on top of this. I'm just going to use the creases as my space dividers. So I've got one fold, two fold, and you can see that in the camera. I'm going to make another fold, and I like them to be just a little bit crooked. When we're using origami, we always have our lines like we make it nice and straight, but if you are folding your paper for this type of artwork, you can just fold it however you want to. Make a nice, neat crease. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different spaces that I can use my texture rubbing plates. Okay, so when you get your texture rubbing plates, you're going to notice that there's a really smooth flat edge, and then there's the raised surface. If you flip it over and you take your finger and you go like this up to it, it's gonna be like coming up to like a little curve, okay? And if this is not nice and straight and smooth, then you need to flip it over, okay? And there's a piece of tape on this, so I always tell my students tape toward the table, so you can put your tape toward the table. If you do find a piece of tape on it, please leave it there. Tape toward the table, okay? TTT, triple T, tape toward the table. Or if you're using a clipboard, you can use a clipboard. You can clip this to your clipboard, put this underneath it, clip that to your clipboard, and that also helps so that our paper is not moving around. Okay, so for my first texture rubbing plate, whichever one you want to use, I have a bunch of these that you guys can share. If you are doing this from home or outside of the art room and you don't have these, just look for textures in your environment around you. I've used shoes, I've used, like I'm looking at this little container right here, I've used something like this before. Anything that has a rough surface, if you close your eyes and you can feel the bumps on it, then you can use that for texture rubbing. So for instance, this right here, I just randomly grabbed something from around me, and I have a little texture right there that you can see. It makes little designs and patterns. So before my battery runs out on my camera, and try to get this video demonstration finished. And I stay in the lines. I follow my creases. I love these right here because they're nice and big and thick, and they're very easy to hang on to. And sometimes you get a surprise color in there, like that has greens with a little bit of reds and browns. There's different strategies. Sometimes I will go in circles like this. Sometimes I'll just push it one direction. I'll lift and then rub, lift, rub, lift, rub. And then that is in one of my areas, okay? And you'll just continue with that. Remember to write your name on it. Frequently switch crayons, okay, crayon cakes. And try to look at your color wheel, maybe put opposite colors side by side. Two colors that are very similar, you probably don't want to put those side by side because they don't have very much contrast. Okay, so let me show you some other examples, examples real quick. And then I am gonna let you guys get started. If you need to watch this video again, just push pause and rewind and watch it again. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show you these right here. So these, the little sticker backings, you can, once all the stickers are gone, you can put this underneath an area, and hopefully this shows up well on my camera. And let's see, let me zoom in real quick. Zoom in. And I'm going to rub. Hopefully these show up now that I've mentioned that they work really well.
Oh, I see them. Whoa.
Yeah, okay, and you actually can see the little stars in there. And then you can watercolor over this. And this one does not have watercolor on it. This one you can see where I've watercolored the different areas in there. And fun to play with different patterns and textures. This one's a white crayon. This one has a green watercolor in the background, but it has lots of different textures that I've used with lots of different crayons. Okay, so have a great time using your crayon cakes and your texture rubbing plates. And I think that's it. Thank you guys. Bye.